Hi, my name is Wendy Hayden, and today we're going to talk about how to test your motility or your child's motility at home. So we're going to test bowel transit time. And the reason why this is important is you need to know how long it is taking from when you first eat your food until you digest your food and it comes out as a bowel movement. And these are clues to you of problems that can be happening. So if the transit time is very rapid, under 12 hours or even under 8 hours, then there's concerns that you might not be getting the benefit of the nutrients in your food. If the transit time is longer than 24 hours or 36 hours or even longer than that, then that's going to tell you that you're probably struggling with constipation. And this can lead to problems with gas because your food kind of sits in there and ferments inside your intestines. It can increase the absorption of toxins in our diets. We have, glyphosate that's sprayed on our food, and we have all sorts of things that, are toxins in our environment. And the longer your stool stays in your body, the more problems it can cause if you're absorbing those things. And if you're just struggling with constipation, it's a good clue to kind of tell you, I'm improving, my constipation's improving, or my constipation's getting worse when I do different things like change diet or add fiber or take away fiber. So it can be a really helpful tool to know what your transit time is and if it's improving or worsening depending on the interventions that you're doing. So one of the ways that you can test your transit time is by using sesame seeds. And what you do is you take a teaspoon of sesame seeds and you're going to add it to a cup of water, stir it around, and then you're going to drink that. And what we're looking for is how long does it take before you see those sesame seeds coming through in your stool. So what you want to do is you want to do this right after you have a bowel movement. So your first bowel movement of the day, you want to drink this down. And we're looking to see how long it takes from when you first start seeing the sesame seeds until you're no longer seeing the sesame seeds. So ideally, you're going to have 1 to 3 bowel movements a day. That's really good. If you're having less than that, then it's already a sign that you're struggling with constipation. If you're having more than 3 bowel movements a day, then that's also a sign that, there's some gut issues and that you need to work on because you're not going to get enough absorption of the nutrients in your food. So then you're going to want to do some things like adding some fiber, maybe chia seeds, flax seeds, things like that maybe can help slow down the transit time, more roughage in your food. Fiber can be a really tricky thing, and I have a video on it. So if you're struggling with constipation, fiber can improve it in some people, but it can also make it worse in some people because what it does is that fiber will absorb out some of the fluid. And so if you have stools that have already been sitting in for a few days and then you add fiber on top of that, it can really cause more constipation. So if you do add fiber in, you're just going to want to do it slowly and increase it slowly. And often you want to kind of work through the constipation. Increased magnesium is a great option, and I have many videos actually on how to use magnesium for constipation relief. So you're going to want to do this to the point where you are seeing the sesame seeds go between 12 and 24 hours, often peaking around 16 hours. 16 to 18 hours is really, really good. And so other options beyond the sesame seeds, you can also use activated charcoal. So you could do a teaspoon of this is a couple of grams. So you can mix this with water. You can mix it and make like an activated charcoal lemonade. And I'll have a recipe for that down below in the description. So this is something that you might be able to get your child to drink because a black lemonade is kind of fun and funky. And you're going to want to do probably less if you're doing this for a child. But you can do anywhere between a half a teaspoon and 2 teaspoons, depending on your size and things. So what you're going to want to do with this, the same kind of thing, you want to watch and see, when do you start seeing the charcoal in your stool, and how long is it until you're no longer seeing charcoal in your stool. You can also do activated charcoal in pills, tablets like this, and it can be anywhere from 6 to 12 tablets that you can take, and see how long it takes for those to pass. Now, if you use charcoal, you have to be cautious with this, because charcoal absorbs everything. This is why, like, if you end up getting some kind of a toxin or a poison and you go to the ER, what they do is they give you activated charcoal, because it absorbs so much. So you don't want to do this if you're taking medicine, or you don't want to take it at the same time. You want to separate your medicine out by a few hours to make sure that you're not absorbing your medicine and not getting the benefit of your medicine. So that's why it's good to have the other option of the sesame seeds. But if you have very light stools, it might be harder to see the sesame seeds, and then the black charcoal might be easier to see, and vice versa. If you have very dark stools, then the sesame seeds might stand out really well and be able to see them. So those are some of the things to look for with transit time. You can also use beets. You don't want to use like a pickled beet. You want to use a raw, fresh beet. And if you do that, you're going to see red come through your stool, like a pink fuchsia red color in your stool. So sometimes people get concerned that maybe they're passing blood, and it turns out that they've eaten beets. But that's another option that you can use to test for transit time at home. Now, it doesn't always work for everybody the same, because the beets the amount of color that comes through in your urine and in your stool can vary depending on your stomach acid levels. So if you have really low stomach acid or really high stomach acid, it can change the color. The beta cystine in the beets that makes that red color is what causes the red on the stool and in the urine. And if your stomach acid is not right, then you may not see the really striking color difference. So that's just something, but you can try it if that's something, if you like beets, or if you want to try it with a child, you could mix cooked beets in with a smoothie or something, if you're having a hard time getting them to doing either like a charcoal lemonade, or they can't swallow pills, or they won't drink the sesame seeds in the water. So those are some options and kind of what you want to look for. So if you find out that you are getting to 36 hours and you have not passed anything, then that is concerning, and we need to work on that is definitely constipation, and we need to work to get your transit time moved up, because you're going to end up having a lot of bloating, you're going to have a lot of gas, and you're going to have a lot of problems. So you don't want to go that long. So ideally you want to have 1 to 3 bowel movements a day. And that sounds like a lot, but you think every time you put food in, your body is wanting to push out the excess. Now, not everybody has 3 a day. But some people do. A lot of people do. After every meal, when they are putting in food, they're having a bowel movement, and that's really great. I have a video on the Bristol stool chart, and I'll link to that below in the description, along with some information on magnesium. And the Bristol stool chart kind of shows you how a bowel movement should even look. So some people, you're used to having like a harder, bumpier stool, and that is a sign of slow transit time. And if you're passing hard balls of stool, then that is also, definitely a sign of constipation and slow transit time. Now, if you're passing really liquidy, watery stools, then that is a sign that your transit time is really rapid, because basically the stool is coming through your digestive system so quickly that all of the water is not getting absorbed out. And both of those ends of the spectrum can cause problems. Now, if you have a child who's been struggling with withholding, or they've got megacolon, then you probably want to be on the side of really liquidy stools, even though they might not get 100% of the benefit of their food for a little while, because you're trying to shrink that colon down. But, generally, you want to kind of have something that's a well-formed bowel movement. I have a Bristol stool chart up there, and you're kind of looking at a number 4 on that chart. Here, I'll just tip it up for a second so you can kind of see, you know, kind of that sausage-like is ideal. But even the 4 to 5 is kind of a good range. So I have a whole video on that I will link to, and you can check that out and see if those are some more clues for you. And this is a really good way at home to be able to test transit time. You can get transit time tested at a doctor. With a doctor, they have you swallow a pill, and there's a transmitter, and it tracks how long it's going through and sends all sorts of signals to your doctor. It's usually not something that you can do if you have Crohn's or if you've had any kind of surgeries, and I would imagine probably be difficult in children on occasion. But you know, it's going to be slightly more invasive. This is just super easy. It's something you can do at home, and it's going to give you some really good clues that are going to help you to figure out, you know, what kind of interventions you need to do to be able to get your stools regulated into the right time period. So I hope this video has been helpful to you, and I really appreciate you guys. And please subscribe. If you found this video interesting and helpful, please click like down below. YouTube really appreciates that, and it'll help them to show my videos to more people. So thank you so much.